Hello everybody, W6Man96 here, back at you with another sweet video. This is at least sweet to me, but it might be sweet to a lot of you out there who know this bike, and even if you don't know this bike, hopefully by the end you will feel comfortable knowing a little bit more about this bike with some of the information that I provide to you. This is my very first motorcycle that I bought about 10 years ago out in Ohio. This is my 1984 Honda Nighthawk S. I found it on eBay, and I wanted this bike specifically. I didn't really want any of the new bikes. This would have been about in 2008, 2009 when I bought this bike. Bought it for $2,500. It is all original. I'll kind of walk you through and talk you through some of the things that I've changed on this bike, which is pretty much just tires and oil and batteries. So we'll get that right out of the way. And I did have to do fork seals just 2 years ago. I bought this bike with 11,000 miles on it. It has 18,000 on it now. So I haven't put many miles on it through the 10 years of ownership. I've pretty much just kept it all stock, kept it neat and tidy, and tried to take care of it the best I can. This was one of the finest examples that I could find. If you watch any of my videos, you'll see that I like to keep things in their stock form, and this bike is really sweet as well because it is almost zero maintenance. So let's go ahead and get started up. We won't prolong that anymore. Hopefully my new battery will hold out for me. I don't know if we'll need choke or not. It's completely cold start today. It's a Honda. It's a little cold-blooded, so we'll see what happens. Put a little choke. There we go. Alright, about half choke. It's a little wore. This paint's wore. If I could find the right color, I'd touch this stuff up. But basically you got high beam, low beam, simple controls, left turn signal, right turn signal. I do have a bulb that's burnt out on my turn signal up on the front. I got to get that changed. Horn, it's not that exciting. And your kill switch here, of course your starter, pretty simple. Tail light, oil, neutral light. This thing's pretty sweet. I love the 80 style gauges. Like I said, this is an 84. They made this 84, 85, and 86. And I'll kind of talk you through some of the differences if you're looking at these of what to spot so you know the right year that you're getting. It does have a fuel gauge, which is pretty sweet. Your trip, pretty simple. Tachometer, red lines over 10.5. And that's really where you're going to experience a lot of the power, is about 8,000 and up. And gear positioning indicator. Alright, now that we're out onto the road here and going to hit a couple of curves that are kind of nice for fun. It's great to be back on this bike again. Handling fairly well for me. Thank you, Nighthawk. Pull out of that curve. 80. 90. And that's enough. Hopefully you're able to see the bike. This does turn nice. This is a very sporty motorcycle. The handlebars are very narrow. I don't know if you can see that, but they are narrow, which is kind of cool. This seat is super cushiony. It's so weird coming off these new bikes. Not that the seats are bad, but this seat, I mean, of course it's war. It's an 84, but it is nice and cushiony, and you kind of sit down in it, and it's nice and spongy and kind of springy. I did have the front fork seals replaced. They were original, not bad for an 84, over a 30-year-old bike. This year I will be replacing all of the fluids. Like this does have a hydraulic clutch, and your brake as well, is your front brakes. So I will be replacing fluid there. I'm in 4th gear right now. This thing really does not come alive until you get up into like 8,000. Then you can really start pulling a little bit more. And it does alright. I mean, I ran up, I don't know, maybe that was 75 there or something. I'm doing the speed limit. Don't let me fool you. So, like I said, this is a fairly narrow bike. When this bike came out in '84, Honda really shrunk the motor down as far as width-wise. If you guys remember a lot of the CB 750s, 900s, even the 1100s, those motors were tanks. They were so wide. Well, Honda, with this motor, really redesigned this whole motor. It has that nice whirly, new, modern inline four sound, which is really cool. And this bike, like I said in the beginning of the video, is basically maintenance free. What do I mean by that? Well, other than your conventional spin-on front oil filter, which is super easy to take care of, and it's pretty interesting how they designed everything. It just slips right out nice and easy between the headers. Honda designed it just right. Pretty cool. This does have automatic cam chain tensioner. A little bit of roadkill there. And it does have hydraulic lifters. So there's like zero maintenance on this motor. Basically, change your oil. This is not liquid cooled. This is oil. Just oil. It does have an oil cooler up front. I don't know if you can see that. You might have been able to see it on the walk around. But it does have an oil cooler because the oil, well, not because, but the oil is stored inside the frame. Alright, let's rip it. Alright. So, I don't know if you saw me switching gears here, but now we're into overdrive, which is my 6th gear. It really is pretty lazy. So if you really want to enjoy this bike, you got to keep it 4th or 5th. But it's very comfortable in 6th gear. If any of you are wondering, here's 55, which is a little white line, which is kind of cool. I'm a little bit above 4,500 RPMs. Has this little bikini fairing, doesn't really do anything to help you out. Maybe a little. So we're just going to stop here real quick, and I'm just going to walk you around the bike again while I talk to you about the differences that you might see in between the 84, 85, and 86 Nighthawks. So, like I said, this is an 84, and the key sign is a black stripe. These came in the red and black, blue and black, in 84 and 85. The difference for an 85 is that you'll have a white stripe around here. So that's the key indicator between 84 and 85. And then in 86, they ditched the red and black and the blue and black editions, and they went to an orange color. And they also ditched the polished lips on the rims. Everything was black. It was all blacked out. I am not a fan of them at all. Although, they did have the blue and white edition. So this would have all been blue, and this was white. And I think it's very good looking. Except for the fact, like I said, everything else was blacked out. I've actually seen some guys take the tank and the fairing and the body panels off of that and put that on these older versions, or change out the wheels to these polished mag wheels, and I think that they look a lot better. Like I said, fork seals were replaced. This has the track suspension in 84. You are able to put a little bit of air in these. They do have adjustments down here for you. It was hard to find someone who wanted to rebuild these shocks. I didn't want to do it myself. I wasn't comfortable doing it. There's your spin-on oil filter, like I was talking about. That's hot. Don't touch that. I should know that. And your oil cooler. This is a 6-speed shaft drive. Back suspension. It's actually nice looking. It almost looks like an aftermarket suspension. Has adjustments for preload, spring preload. Does have adjustments up top as well. Here's your 2 up pegs, center stand, cushy seat, twin pipes. If there's anybody out there that has an aftermarket Vanson, Hines, or Kirker, or Yoshimura pipe that came on these, a 4-into-1, I'll buy it off of you if it's in good shape. I've really been looking for one and haven't had any luck. Oh, I did replace one other thing, and that was all of the spark plugs. And I can't really tell you if it helped it out at all. I haven't changed any brake pads. Like I said, I've only ridden this for 7,000 miles over the 10 years that I've had it. So we'll jump back on the bike. Has a good sound. The pipes are pretty neat, actually, because they're that black chrome. That's the back brake. It's a drum, so it's a little noisy. First gear. Good pull in first gear, but of course that's first, right? So pull is pretty good for what it is. They rated these, and I don't know, maybe back in the day, right? Gravel, great. Back in the day, they rated these at 84 horse at like screaming RPM. Let's say, I think it was like 9 or something, 9,500. And 40-some foot-pounds of torque at like 8,500 RPM. So that's why when I started the video out, I said that, you know, up to those RPMs, that it was where it was going to make its power. Has a really cool dash. I was sold like on this dash. It's such an 80s dash, but it's so cool. It's been a while since I've been on this road and I didn't know, but it's fairly scenic. Wanted to provide that to all of you who may not be through Pennsylvania that often. And this bike likes to turn. If you ever get a chance, go out on YouTube. Maybe I'll throw the link into my video description. But the promo video for this is really sweet. The rider, some professional rider, I don't remember his name, really hustled this bike around a track. And it was considered the hot rodder at the time, which I think is really pushing it. But it does like to turn. It likes to lean. It handles really well. So it'll take you through some of these curves here. Third gear. Don't want to really hit it too much. See, bunny. See, this zigzags pretty well for what it is. Doesn't dive too bad. That was one of the things for the suspension setup on this bike. They didn't want it to buck because shaft drives have a tendency to do that under deceleration. It does have a good pull, really. It's fun. If you've never ridden on like a vintage bike like this, I highly recommend it. If you're used to new bikes, I think it'll really kind of open your eyes to what motorcycles were like back in the 70s and the 80s. It really will make you appreciate what they had and what they did with what technology and development they had at the time. See, another bunny. Ugh. And it'll kind of give you a better appreciation too for the bike that you're on. And you might realize that you're a vintage bike guy. That's kind of me. I like vintage bikes like this. I had a slew of other options to pick from, but I picked this bike. It just has a really iconic look. There's really no bike out there that looks like this. This bike really stands on its own. So, do you have a Honda Nighthawk S out there? Let me know. I'd love to hear your story about it. I've met a lot of people that had these or actually worked at a dealership and put these together. I have a family friend that did that, which is so cool. So did you have one? Have you ever ridden one? Do you have one now? I'd love to meet some other people that have them. So thanks for coming along on this beautiful evening in July 3rd. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And also, when you subscribe, please hit the bell so you know when I'm posting new videos. Now that it's summertime out, really nice weather, fingers crossed, I'll be getting more videos out. Let me know if you'd like to see another video of this, maybe something a little bit more faster pace. This is more of just get to know the bike a little bit and kind of show it off a little bit. I think it definitely deserves that. It's been a good bike to me. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you back out on the road.